Lalah Hathaway barely knew her father, who died in a fall from a New York City hotel room at age 33 in 1979. But the 36-year-old singer-songwriter shares Donny Hathaway's warm vocal tone, his extensive knowledge of music and his strong work ethic, which she has parlayed into a successful musical career of her own. In the past 15 years, Hathaway has recorded 3 solo albums: Lalah Hathaway, 1992, Moment, 1994, and Outrun the Sky, 2004. She has headlined at nightclubs and music festivals around the world and toured and recorded with Mary J. Blige, Marcus Miller, and Michelle Ndegeocello, to name a few. I don't really have any childhood memories of my dad, unfortunately, said Hathaway. I was 10 years old when he passed, so my memories are kind of skewed. I don't have many memories of my childhood, period. Donny Hathaway was born in Chicago and raised in St. Louis, where he began his gospel training in the church at age 3. His talents as a singer-pianist earned him full scholarship to Howard University in Washington, D.C. He worked as a session musician for Aretha Franklin, Curtis Mayfield, and the Staple Singers before recording well-received solo albums Everything is Everything, Donny Hathaway and Extension of a Man. When he hooked up with another Howard alumna, Roberta Flack, Hathaway struck gold with hits that included The Closer I Get to You, Back Together Again and the Grammy-winning Where Is the Love in the 70s. Despite the optimistic nature of his music, Hathaway was a troubled man who was periodically hospitalized for depression. His fall from the window of his 15th floor hotel room was ruled a suicide. Like other offspring of famous singers, such as Natalie Cole, daughter of Nat King Cole, Ziggy Marley, son of Bob, and Jacob Dylan, son of the other Bob, Hathaway inherited the advantage of having a famous last name along with the burden of being constantly compared to her father and the pressure to live up to his legacy. It would be hard to be a singer, musician, or have ears and not be an admirer of my dad, said Hathaway, who performs some of her father's songs during her shows. I can only say that now that I'm older, because growing up, I thought I was biased. I thought it was just me. Now I see that he left his mark on the world. Miller, who has produced everyone from Miles Davis to Luther Vandross to Mariah Carey, first heard of Lalah Hathaway's talent while she was a student at Berklee College of Music in Boston in the early 90s. Everyone was talking about her and telling me I had to check out Donny's daughter, said Miller. I had a gig in Japan at a festival and I wanted to bring in something new, so I asked her to perform. She was just so musical, so fantastic. Every once in a while she would hit one of those notes that would make you think of her father. We've been working together off and on since then. Miller, who collaborated with Hathaway on a track called La Villette from his 2005 compilation Silver Rain, praises her versatility in both jazz and R&B genres. If you listen to Donny Hathaway, he had a lot of jazz elements in the way he sang, said Miller. For me, the two styles borrow from each other so much that sometimes it's hard for me to make a distinction. When you hear Lalah sing the combination, that's when she really shines, when she's allowed to dip into her jazz when she wants to and then get soulful and do the R&B thing. Hathaway was around music constantly when she was growing up. She and her younger sister, Kenya Hathaway, a singer, guitarist, and percussionist who tours with George Benson, studied piano and attended performing arts high schools. Their mother, Eula Hathaway, she never remarried after her husband's death, is a classically trained vocalist. Hathaway, who lives in Los Angeles, still has sentimental ties to her hometown, Chicago, which, she says, is full of culture, great food, and music. Members of her father's family live there and she tries to visit and perform in Chicago as often as possible. In college, I decided to listen to instrumentalists, because I knew it would help me shape what my personal style was, said Hathaway. I love Donald Fagen. Steely Dan is a part of the fabric of my youth. I grew up with songs like FM and Peg. All those songs are gonna last forever. After her shows, Hathaway socializes with friends she meets through the message board on her website, lalahhathaway.com. She regularly updates the site's poems and song lyrics. I do a lot of inward thoughts and meditation, said Hathaway. I listen to a lot of music. I'm not an extremely religious person. I am an extremely spiritual person. It's more of a feeling than something I can talk about. Hathaway wrote the lyrics to the jazz-infused Outrun the Sky on a turbulent flight from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I wrote that song as sort of a prayer, listing all of the things I would do once the plane landed safely on the ground, said Hathaway. I'm not a good flyer. I do a lot of writing, sleeping, meditation and prayer when I'm in the air. I'm actually better on the overseas trips. When I fly to Japan or Europe, I feel safer on the plane. She said the reason for the 10-year gap between her second and third album was basically economic. Although her solo albums did not reach gold or platinum status or win Grammy Awards, Hathaway has remained true to her art. She admits that it is harder to find a label that will produce a jazz-infused soul recording that is not pop-oriented. It's kind of a twisted cycle, but I think that there is less money in real music these days, said Hathaway. Like her father, Hathaway is committed to reaching people through her performances and making quality music. Between records, I was on the road with various artists. I traveled to Europe with the Daughters of Soul tour, with the daughters of Chaka Khan and Nina Simone along with Joyce Kennedy from Mother's Finest and Nona Hendrix from Lavelle. It was put together by Sandra St. Victor of the Family Stand. That was big fun. I'm always working. I'm just looking forward to getting out and playing as many places as I can, because that's the reason I make records. Thanks to an intuitive knack for musical arrangements, songwriter, and his buttery, gospel-flecked vocals, the Chicago-raised Hathaway was an in-demand musician by his early 20s. By the time he left Howard University, Donnie was a top sessions collaborator who worked on projects with Jerry Butler, Aretha Franklin, and Curtis Mayfield before releasing his seminal 1970 debut, Everything is Everything. Unfortunately, in between the velvety duets with friend and former classmate, Roberta Flack, The Closer I Get to You, Where Is the Love, and stellar solo releases, A Song for You, The Ghetto, This Christmas, The Husband and Father was struggling with both depression and paranoid schizophrenia. After years of hiatus and attempted treatment, Hathaway's eagerly awaited comeback ended with his unexpected death, later ruled a suicide, in 1979. Fortunately, 2 of his 3 daughters have continued his musical legacy, most famously by way of his firstborn, Lalah Hathaway.
Love yourself like no one else can. Bitter hearts don't hold a smile. Troubled minds will wear you down. Use your past to get ahead. Hold your tears and think instead. You have to find a way to make it. These clouds are letting up for a while. Sometimes you gotta make the mirror your best friend, and maybe then you'll find some peace within. Stop hiding yourself. Stop hiding yourself.